I'm Mike Zemrose, and I work with Tellor.
What is Tellor?
Tellor is an oracle. We trustlessly bring off-chain data on-chain. It's totally permissionless, it's transparent. We can do any type of data, whether it's simple price feeds or something really custom, and it's totally decentralized.
How do you differ from Chainlink?
I think the things that I just stated, they're not just buzzwords to us. We've built ourselves from the ground up to really make that a reality. Even how we've formed as a company and launched our token, the Tellor team doesn't have like unilateral control over the protocol in any way. Even because we don't have, for instance, 40 or 50 or 60% of the total token supply. Like, it doesn't matter how decentralized you are on the protocol level if your governance all comes from one central founding team, and that's not true for us. So yeah, those are the biggest things. Like, decentralization really matters to us, and we think we've found the right formula to make that possible.
I spoke with Ricochet Exchange, and they said that they thought you were better than Chainlink. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, of course we do. We wouldn't have built ourselves if we didn't feel that. Like, we came out, it was post Chainlink ICO, but we were building a derivatives project that needed an oracle, and there was really only centralized oracles at the time. Chainlink was this white paper and this project that was launching soon, and we quickly realized that it wasn't going to be a good enough option for us, and we saw a huge gap in the space for like a really decentralized oracle, and that's why we built Tellor. So yeah, we think for the fundamentals that we believe in, we're absolutely better than Chainlink.
How do you ensure decentralization in an oracle?
Well, it's a whole host of things. Like I was saying, like, you don't want to have an admin key as a project, somebody that can flip some switches and change the smart contract at will, because it's a centralizing risk. It's a huge risk. You don't want the team to have a huge bulk of the tokens, because then you control governance. But other than that, it's really about it being open and permissionless. Anybody, like on Tellor, like anybody can come and join Tellor. We don't know who they are, and they can be data reporters, and they can provide data on chain to users. We don't have any control of who those people are, and we use simple crypto economic incentives to make it work. It's a very Web3 approach to an oracle, which I think people are starting to really appreciate when they look for oracle options out there. That there's historically been one option, right? Either you kind of just run your own oracle as a project, or you use Chainlink. And we've had here at EthDenver, we've had it really resonated with people when we explained how we worked. And that's another thing, like, it's important in this space for it to be simple and easy to understand. A lot of projects hide behind like almost intentional complexity, where you almost feel dumb. Like, you feel dumb if you read it, because it's impossible to understand. It's incredibly complex, so you just assume that it must work. And our philosophy was, like, we want to have a white paper that anybody can read and understand, no matter how technical you are. And even if you are technical, you understand the nuance of why it's sort of elegant as a structure. You can come. Our code is clean, our documentation is good, and it's just not too complex to get. So we hope that's refreshing to people, and we think it has been. The people we've met here have expressed that to us, so we're really excited.
What's the state of oracles today?
The state of oracles today is that there has been one main option, and we think it's too centralized, and we think it's ready and it's necessary to have more oracle options out there like Tellor that are actually focused on decentralization first. I think that's the future. There's going to be more oracle players in the space, and people are going to care more about decentralization. Whereas in the past, the space wasn't as mature. It's still immature, but it's maturing. A year ago, at least, people really didn't care about if their oracle was centralized or not. It's like well, we need an oracle, we need data on chain, we'll figure out the rest later. Now it is later. And so now people are like, okay, we got to figure this out. Like that oracle needs to change. We need to add in another one, or we need to find a decentralized option. So yeah, it's kind of like, and the short of it is that there was just one real option out there, and now there's a few more.
Can you just describe the crypto incentives that you've built into Tellor?
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, if you want to become a data reporter, you have to buy some of our token, which is TRB, and stake it as a security bond almost. And that allows you to sort of participate in being a data reporter. And you can start submitting data on chain, and our smart contract will reward you in our token for that. So these data reporters are it's basically a gas race, because the reporters are the ones that are like transacting on chain and incurring that gas fee. So they're waiting for profitability. The smart contract covers that, but also users on top of that can tip by adding more TRB tokens to the reward that they get, and that gives the user some control over speed and frequency that they want their data. They can kind of pay on demand for their data if they want it faster. Or there's some liveness guarantees, like crypto economic guarantees, I should say, where look, if gas prices go really high, the data reporters are not going to want to submit on chain because it's just going to be really expensive. It's definitely not profitable. But and we've seen in the past, like Black Thursday, like some oracles didn't report because of network congestion. With Tellor, no matter what, if a user really needs that data, no matter what, they can pay for it. So they can always just add a tip that covers the high gas fee and ensure that they get their data on chain. And that data is really high value data. So it's much more valuable than a simple gas fee, even if it's a $100, $400 gas fee, whatever it could be. So, but most importantly, there's a dispute mechanism. So I mentioned that bond that they have to stake. So any data reporter that submits on chain, if they submit something bad, someone else can come in and submit a dispute fee, and then it sort of goes to this governance contract that sort of controls this dispute period, where any TRB token holder can vote on the validity of that data. So it's kind of like consensus-driven validity over was that good or bad. And so you vote either with the disputer guy or you vote with the reporter. If the disputer guy wins that vote, then that reporter's stake is slashed and given to him. And if it's vice versa, the reporter gets the dispute fee. And so, you try to strike that balance to incentivize honesty and disincentivize, not playing by the rules.
What role do oracles play in the NFT space? Or might they in the future play?
I think in the NFT space, you're going to see more dynamic NFTs. You're going to see, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I'll start over.
I'm not going to edit that, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Shit.
I wish there was water up here.
No, I know. It's just
You want to go see if there's water?
I think my voice is like, I can feel my throat closing.
Yeah, I don't think there's water over there.
Hold on, just let it rest.
Here, let it rest. I'm gonna go check, just in case. This is like an evolving organism, so I never know what's gonna be anywhere.
Have I been not? I'll come with you. Have I been not? Actually, I think I'm doing okay now.
Yeah, you're doing great. Yeah, so that's perfect.
Have I been doing like the?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. The restating?
Yeah, the restating thing. awesome.
Hey, they're not water.
Anything,
There's
all these are
kombucha,
really good.
There's pineapple.
I'm gonna do the kombucha,
Drink.
dude.
Alright, cool. I'm gonna go put it back.
Cool. I feel like I'm being really dry.
No,
Maybe it's just like I'm
It's
like
Sunday.
waking up,
I
you
feel
know,
like
and
I'm
I
dry.
could be like a lot more.
no, actually,
but-
you're very good. No, this is great.
Okay,
I don't.
thanks.
I mean, trust me, this is
Cool.
awesome. And I guess my question was the intersection
Yeah.
of oracles and NFTs.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oracles and NFTs. So we don't work with NFT projects yet, but you know, of course, at this event, we've been talking to a ton of NFT projects, and we've thought about it. So we'll see for sure how this goes. I think one thing I'm excited about seeing is collateralizing NFTs in DeFi, like being able to use NFTs as collateral, and so you need oracles for that to sort of track the value of that collateral. So I think we're going to see that, and allowing people to use their NFTs in a very DeFi way. It just makes a ton of sense, and I think that there are projects working on that already. The other thing that I'm not sure, I would like to see a project create some dynamic NFTs where real world events can change the NFT in some way. But the most important thing there is it can't just be a cosmetic change, but like a change that actually increases the value of the NFT in some way. Like some real world event happens and the NFT changes and like is rarer in some way. Because I think you need to have that increase in value somehow, because the Oracle update is going to cost money, and the question is who pays for that Oracle update. Like the buyer isn't going to want to do that, and the holder isn't going to want to do that unless, you know, they might do it for vanity, but like people really are concerned about their NFT raising in rarity. So I don't know how that would work, but I think someone's going to figure out a way to make dynamic NFTs make sense, and oracles will be important for that.
What about crypto are you most passionate about?
What, in crypto?
Yeah.
We're most passionate, I don't want to say we, let me think here, because I could give our like official answer, what's my personal one.
I guess both.
Yeah.
I just go like, at the team, this is what we're doing, me personally.
Yeah. So for Tellor, you know, we're most passionate about being as decentralized as possible. I know I've said that a lot in this interview, but it's it's like a philosophy. It's a design philosophy. It's a technical philosophy. It's a philosophy from a business structure, and you have to be passionate about that to do it, because it's risky. It's not always financially beneficial, you know. So it's definitely like comes from the heart. And yeah, I think I share that passion personally. I think for me, my passion is around our little core team and our community. Because if you want to DAOify, you know, you can't just rely on this core team. It's like growing this community to be the core community, the people that are going to take Tellor almost from the control of the founding team and take ownership of that in some way, in part. And so growing that community that is capable and mature enough to take Tellor, you know, into the future is a huge passion of mine.
So let's break that down. Decentralization. Obviously, that's been a big concept since Bitcoin and almost a rallying cry of crypto. But, you know, I think I've had a greater awareness that this is actually a serious, like, political philosophy, actually. It's a serious philosophy that has a place in the canon of Western philosophy, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And for brevity's sake, one example might be the U.S., the design of the United States with states'
Checks
rights.
and balances.
Yeah, so that's a decentralization. You got the three branches,
Totally.
form of decentralization. 50 states, that's a form of decentralization.
Yeah.
Can you speak to like decentralization at like a higher level, just generally?
I think it's all about just keeping in check any central party from growing too powerful. Like, historically it was like monarchies, right? And like, so like that's chop that down and spread that power around, giving the little guy a little bit more say. Now, the little guy still doesn't have more say, but maybe the middle guys have more say. I think we're working to sort of like really spread it out even farther. And I think things like Web3 and Bitcoin and banking the unbanked and decentralizing finance and decentralizing artists and the artwork they do and how they can make a living doing that. I think all of that is going to come together to spread power around in a way that I think the world has never seen. And I hope that ends up being a good thing. I think, when I think of central powers, like there's this saying that, the most ideal form of government is a divine monarchy, right? This thing can't exist. But if you could have a king that is like tapped in from heaven and gets everything right and everything is fair and he's never corrupted, like that would be great because things would happen fast. It'd be really efficient, but it's like the tragic flaw. But I tend to think I believe sort of like in yin and yang and balance of things. And I think we're off balance now. So it's about finding that balance. You can't just have there's something called like the tyranny of the majority, and there's tragic flaws in having everybody have a say in everything, right? Like it's not always utopian to do that, but it definitely needs to be better than it is now. And I think we have a huge force that's moving in that direction. It's really cool.
What's next for Tellor?
Next for Tellor is adoption. I mean, that's a huge thing. It's not the sexiest answer, but it's really sexy to us. Like we were saying earlier, there's always been just like one major player. The market share they have is undeniable. And we have been building for 2.5 years, and our product is finally at that spot where it's mature as a product. It's a really great oracle, and we're finally seeing adoption. We got our first flagship users at the end of last year, and we're receiving a ton of inbound companies and projects that want to use us. We're here at this event, and it's just been super fruitful. So we're just looking forward to being super busy with integrations, and I think it's going to and I think that's going to keep us busy for a long time.
Great, perfect. I'll watch this before I publish and edit. Where can people find Tellor and you?
You can find Tellor at WeAreTellor on Twitter. That's a great place. And www.tellor.io is our website. You can find a link to our Discord on both places. That's where our community lives. It's kind of like our front office too. So all the engineers and the business developers and the founders are in that community. We're really, really active. We almost use it as a window into our office where, during work hours, we're doing GitHub pushes, and you can see exactly what's going on under the hood at Tellor. It's really cool.
And where can people find you?
I'm at Zemrose on Twitter. That's my last name, and I'm Banjo in our Discord.
How do you spell Zemrose?
Zemrose.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.